I keep getting emails saying it's time to review your book, but I haven't finished any yet. It's making me feel
Hmm.
guilty.
Nah, it's okay. You can have like up to 150 days past due. And assuming you're not trying to go like hardcore like I am, where you get the top reviewer rank, I think you're
So there is a due date.
technically yes, but it's different for each book. And also, if you follow a creator, then there's if you're past due on a book, you can still download one of their books. If you are
Oh,
like past due on too many books, there's an exception there because you obviously really care about this creator's work and you want to, review their stuff and maybe prioritize it over others.
okay.
I just learned that.
That's good to know. It's saying video unavailable. I'm just refreshing to see if we're actually live or not.
It says this meeting's being live streamed.
Okay. Yeah, we're good. Well, when I do it, YouTube pops up and it shows like the little screen with our Queer Start Method logo,
Mm.
and
Hmm.
it just said video unavailable. So, welcome. We're here in the house of the Lord,
We
right?
are, we are.
My girlfriend's a Christian, as it shows here,
Hmm.
and this is where we sleep. This is the bed. I just realized that.
You sleep under the Lord's Supper?
Yeah.
That's great. I
Yeah.
love that for you.
Ew.
I'm glad it doesn't creep you out.
No, it doesn't.
No,
And
I
you
just realized I think my grandmother used to have a Lord's Supper painting above her bed.
really?
Yeah, I think I just unlocked that memory. I remember the wall sconces, like with little candlesticks on either side, because I
Oh
I
wow.
cut my thigh with one time. Um,
Oh my
but
God.
I did not. I just remembered the Lord's Supper painting, and I used to think it was kind of weird back then.
It's a little weird, yeah.
But
But like
it's fine now. I'm like, cool. She had paintings and sconces and stuff.
yeah, Laura had this when we met. She had it and it was like her desk used to be right here.
Mm.
And it was like over her desk and this also she painted that.
She
Um,
painted it
yeah. It's just like
infinitely cooler. Oh my
yeah, it
gosh.
is cooler.
Jesus, I
Uh,
had no idea she was so
yeah,
talented.
and this tree thing, like remember I told you she brought a tree in the house?
Mm-hmm.
This tree was here and there's like a bird cage she painted up there.
Wow. You
She's a
got a
real
little
weirdo.
crafty one.
Yep. Yep.
I love that.
The position of all of this is really weird.
Yep. I love it. No, I genuinely love it. I think
That
it's
is why
perfect.
I set up the other computer over here because I was like, oh, obviously. I don't know. I'm just going with it now because I don't care.
Yeah, no, it's fine. And we're doing Sunday service, so
And we're
it's
doing
fine.
Sunday service.
I'm actually probably gonna take a quick off camera 5 minutes to go to the bathroom and I will come right back if that's cool with you.
Sure. I'll just talk about what should I talk about?
Sure.
I'll talk about this
Um,
book. All right.
Great
I'll talk
idea.
about my thought log because I haven't gotten into it yet. So while Scarlett is whizzing, um, so this thought log is basically one of the things that I do is help people enter and begin and learn about recovery, trauma recovery, um, mostly like specifically, but if you ask me, recovery is the same no matter what the faction is. If you're recovering from a broken leg, or if you're recovering from addiction, if you're recovering from trauma, if you're recovering from, um, I don't know, being too full, I don't know, whatever the hell happened, maybe a run, you're recovering from a run. So like the processes are obviously like shorter, longer, whatever, more intense, less intense. Like recovering from a run might involve just like rehydrating and whatever. I don't know, I don't run. But there's a process to it all, and it all leads to the same uh goal, which is ultimately to be close to balance. Um, and that process involves a lot of education. So like the group I do Unmask is it's a year-long group um peer group support that is basically education on what it's like to have complex post-traumatic stress disorder and what it means and what recovery can look like in the process. And it's like gaining practices and habits of that. And then after that, it's about being like, okay, now I'm on this side and I've learned all of this. So I know when I react like this, I know what this thing feels in my body and what that means, blah, 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 blah. So this book, it is about cognitive behavioral therapy. Um, and it's not hugely long. So like each thing, it's like, so the ABC model of emotions, activating situations, belief or thought, consequence of emotion. The way that it is written in here is short enough where it's not annoying to read. Also, the education pages are blue. And so, and it's got bullet points. I don't know. It just is very brief and thorough in the way that it describes things, like cognitive distortions. I just love, and I haven't gotten all the way through it yet, but I'm definitely using it as a source for my own stuff, like, the documents I make and stuff like that, because it helps me
Mhm.
put it in better boxes so that it's more readable. Um, and then after the little education, it even has a feelings wheel in here. I thought you would appreciate this. I love a good
Wow.
feelings wheel.
Yes, you do.
Because one of the things that happens is we're like, I have feelings, but I don't know what it is because we literally don't have the language. But the big feelings like fear, like mad, like I'm angry, that can get you into being like, oh, in anger, we also feel envy. Why am I angry? Envy, jealous, aggravated, annoyed. So like for me, and maybe for you too, Scarlett, because I forced this on you, it has given language to other types of the way that I feel. Anger is just too big of a thing for me to
Mhm.
pinpoint why I'm angry. Then if I'm like, okay, I'm angry because um I'm disgusted. And then I learn what that feels like. That way the next time I'm angry, I can be like, okay, I'm just disgusted. It's not that big of a deal. Let's move on. I'm not gonna sit in anger over this.
Right.
Um, so that's how it's helped me. But anyway, then it gets into like the journal pages. And it gives you little tips. And it brings you through the unsubscribe, unpack. It's basically the unpack of it all, right? What happened? What was going on in your mind? What emotions were you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? How intense were the emotions? What thought patterns do you recognize? So I like this because this does an extra step of um, it defines all the different types of thought patterns, like fortune telling. Fortune telling refers to making predictions about the future based on little or no evidence, just as mind reading overestimates our ability to know what other people are thinking. Fortune telling oversees or overestimates our ability to know what will happen in the future. Example, the last relationship only lasted 2 months. This one probably will too,
Mm,
right? So the and another example of reframing is I'm going to do my best to do what I feel is right for this new relationship, regardless of how long it lasts.
right.
So it says what thought patterns, and then it has a list of the thought patterns that you can circle. And then over time, you can go back and be like, okay, I have these major thought patterns. That's what I can work on. So it's very fucking cool. And then it has a journal page a sketching page with dots, a dotted whatever.
Yes, the dot
Yeah,
grid.
we love the dot. And then it has a page where you can write notes from your therapy sessions.
Oh.
Yeah, so I love this because it is like this is a supplement and a complement to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a replacement. And it doesn't
Right.
go above and beyond and be like, oh, blah, blah, you have to go to therapy. It just is like, this is part of it. Here's part of the book, right?
Yes.
So, and it has a little chronicle thing at the top that I love. It's just beautiful. It's just a beautiful, beautiful fucking book.
Yeah, no, I love everything about that. And it is a perfect example of the kind of stuff that we worked on when I was in the Unmasked group, which was extremely helpful. And is that the same book that I linked to in
Yes.
the last one that you got at Target?
Yep. The thought
Yeah,
log.
the thought log. We
Has the
should,
little thingy.
I love a built-in bookmark. I just got recently a book that had a
It
built-in
was
bookmark.
expensive though. It was $20. And I almost didn't get it because but then just the day prior, my meditation was it's okay to spend money on my health.
Hmm.
It just is. It has to be. And
Yeah,
I would spend $20 on two coffees. So like why that doesn't really add to my health really at all.
right. Oh my God,
So
coffee is so expensive there.
yeah,
God.
I know. And the two coffees actually isn't well, it's not $20, but it's like $14. Yeah.
Yeah, plus like tax and tip and stuff. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
Yeah.
that's terrible. But
True.
you're right. There are things that we probably spend that amount of money on that aren't as beneficial to us. Um,
Yeah. I was like, I can just make a different choice in the future so that I can buy this $20 book.
mhm.
And also, it just comes down to the value system, right? Our relationship with money and what we use it for. Like
Yes.
you would spend $20 on trinkets at a show,
Hmm.
but would be upset of spending $20 on maybe something that, or like it's harder to spend that on medication, but
Yeah,
happier when you're spending it on trinkets, right? So it's like, well, I
true.
can't afford this, but I can afford trinkets. So like, what are we affording here?
Right. Plus, it's not like a commitment that you have to make constantly. Like you buy it and it's an actual investment.
Yeah.
So that's
It's
also a good
education.
one.
Also, it takes a lot of boxes. It takes my education box. It's considered work. Yeah, it's a lot. And I'm gonna get one for Laura. I'm gonna get one for everyone I know, basically.
Yeah, I love that. I want to see if I can find that link again in the other video because I think you put it in the description. If
I
not, it would be in the
did.
chat.
Oh, that's a good point. I think I did put it in the description. I've been having AI make our descriptions. Oh, you already know that.
Give me a second. I don't see it. I'm wondering if it was a different one, but let me fast forward. Do-do-do.
It was a few weeks
Uh,
ago.
yeah, my bad. I was
I don't even
looking at
have
the wrong
Notion.
one.
Well, I got this
Oh, I was
target.
very confused for a moment because I saw the Francis is a human in the chat, and then
Oh.
I realized, oh, that was you on Laura's. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was very confused. I'm like, wait a minute, that's my book quote. What's happening? Yeah, no, that's it must have been a previous book. We'll find it though, and I think we should put it in our Notion so that we can copy and paste it with the others because it's a consistent thing that has been helpful for you.
Yeah, I can do that. I can actually find it right now. It was before Booksprout, I believe.
Uh,
Anywho, that's what's been going on here. Actually haven't gotten into it since I brought it up because it's one of those, it's a learning thing. So every time I pick it up and I learn a new thing, I put it down after I learn the thing so I can integrate it.
Yeah, and we talked about that too in
Yeah.
I think the last meeting where it's good to sit on it and absorb it. And just in general, how that's good for nonfiction because it takes you, like when you're reading a nonfiction book, especially, there's so much information there that it's very helpful. Maybe not as much with memoirs, but like self-help and educational type books. It's really good for helping you absorb all of the information because it's usually jam-packed with information depending on the book.
Yeah.
So,
Right. I think that is why, because I like nonfiction more. I like learning. I'm obsessed with learning.
mm,
But I think that, and I would get down on myself for being like, God, you can't even finish this book. You've been reading this book for 3 years. Like the Women book.
hmm
It's the information I'm learning is history. And then
hmm
I'm like taking this history and like putting it in a timeline of where we are now, women. And
hmm
that just takes time to integrate and the
But it means you're
information
getting so
process.
much more out of it because there's people that will just devour nonfiction books like constantly, and it's like that's great for you, and people read at different speeds, but also how much of it are you retaining? Because if it were just like fiction books, that's one thing, because it's just like binge watching shows and movies. But if you are reading something specifically to learn and you're just continuously cycling through them, then it's like I feel like you would get more out of it if you gave your brain time to process it and, like you said, integrate it if it's something that you can apply to your everyday life. Even if it's just history and it's not
Mhm.
actively telling you things to do, you're learning, you're actually learning that history more. I mean, that's why in classes in school, they break up the lessons. They don't just tell you to read the entire thing. They give you
Mhm.
quizzes in between each thing to make sure you're retaining that knowledge and giving you a chance to process it overnight, over week, whatever. And they break it up in sections like that. So,
You know what's interesting about this is I failed social studies from grades 6 to 11,
mm,
and I couldn't fucking retain history. It just, but like, and like I think it's a couple things. One, I'm dyslexic, so the way that I learn information is different.
right.
And schools aren't set up for that. I was not put in any kind of special classes, which is crazy, but two, more so, my learning history was, I think, a privilege to me. I didn't have space in my life. I was raising myself. I had a
Hmm.
shit home life. My brother's an addict, and I had a very busy school life that I was all maintaining myself. I was in hair school, I was doing everything, and I
Hmm.
just could, and I knew that the tests, like I didn't get above a 50% on any history test
Hmm.
unless sometimes it was an essay, then I could write my way out of it. But for the most part, I just had to bank, and same with science, I just had to bank on failing it or doing the best I could to pass. Because the testing was really, really difficult and really not set up for me.
Right.
To have special needs, I needed help, and I didn't know how to access that. Oh shit,
Right.
I gotta get my charger. And also, I didn't have space to learn new information like that. Like I like learning new information is such a privilege, and
It is.
I don't think that people see it that way. Hold on one second.
Hmm.
Okay, I had to get a charger. Um, and so in the to use unwell women again as an example, this book is difficult because the information that I'm learning is painful for me as a woman to hear.
Hmm.
So I have a lot of feelings when I read it. So I'm like, it takes me a long time to like read a bunch of shit and then, process my feelings about it. And then when I integrate it, gives me more feelings because I'm affected personally today by shit that's happened hundreds and hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. So
Yes. And that's huge.
it's too much.
It's very similar to when I was going from private to public school because there's a lot that wasn't in my history books. And I also didn't appreciate history when I was in that private school because like I said there like you said there was a lot of other stuff that was taking up space in my mind and I didn't have space to appreciate it and I didn't have space to learn it properly and
Yep.
also
Like, I don't really give a fuck about some war somewhere.
yeah,
I literally am
exactly.
trying to eat here. Like I don't
Hmm.
give a shit.
Yeah, and it was then in public school that I started learning some stuff for the first time that everybody else had been learning their entire lives. And I'm like, wow, this is actually fascinating that I was watching like history documentaries in my free time when I had the space to do that. And then I was really excited to take advanced history classes, which then things in home life escalated again, and I had to then drop out of those history classes. Like I had made a plan to continue with that because I was so excited to keep learning. And then when I was in one of the AP World History classes, so I could take Euro the next year, um, I was having more issues that came up in home that I thought I was past. And I was really resentful because it's like I am trying to learn from this college textbook, basically, for this college level class in high school. And I can't get through a single paragraph. of this thing that I'm supposed to read way more chapters of and then write about the next day.
Mhm.
And I was really broken up that I had to leave that class and then go down to the lower level class that was just filled with seniors that didn't care. And everything was dumbed down. And it's like I learned all this stuff last year, and I feel like I was really sad because I got a taste of learning in a space where you can learn, where you're in that mental space to learn. And then that contrast with being bitter that you can't, that you don't have space to learn, and you start resenting even the material because you can't learn it. And then that same type of thing I was eagerly devouring later in my life when I had more chance to learn those things. And I'm now back to a place where I'm excitedly learning these things about like Mesopotamia and all these ancient civilizations and things like that that I wasn't able to learn in the past because of stuff going on at home. And it's really like you said, it's survival instinct and it's learning differently and it's you need the chance, you need the brain space to allow yourself to learn those things. And you just don't always have that. So you're right. It's like breezing through a bunch of nonfiction books is not nearly as impactful as giving yourself space to process those things. Because even if it is history, you learn so much from it. Um, and like there's a reason that we study it. And it's not just so that you can lord dates and facts over other people. It's so that, we can take things from it and learn things from it because it is a privilege to do so. And people that obviously the cliche is people that don't learn history are doomed to repeat it. But it's also you can find connection reading those stories, especially like in your book, where you're learning about people who you have a connection with that are long dead, that you wouldn't have had space to do so if you didn't have that in your life. So I just think that's wonderful. I love the fact that you're taking time to do it. And I love the fact that you're getting out of the space of shaming yourself for not doing it faster because you're not in school. You are in your own space and you're learning for you, not for a test that wasn't created for you. You're
I was
learning to
gonna
get something out of it.
I was gonna say, to me, it did seem like the only purpose in learning was to learn dates and significant events, not how it affected. Like I was aware of like the timeline of events and like, okay, blah blah blah, this happened, this happened, this happened. But like the details of the things also were lies in my books too. So like I was also being told information, and if I had tried to learn this information at that time, one, it wasn't available.
Mhm.
Um, and two, and by time I mean I went to school in the 80s and 90s. And two, it would have went against everything that was being taught to me, what my belief system was, my belief
Mhm.
system about America and what was in the world is being built.
Yeah.
I learned racism was over, and I believed it.
I learned the
Because
civil
because my
rights
town
was
was special. We had underground railroads and
mm,
like in our town. So I was like, oh yeah, I absolutely 10 out of 10 believe this. Why would I not?
yeah, we had the states' rights explanation of the Civil War in my original textbooks for the Abeka program. So yeah, 100%, you are correct. And there is something to be said about how when we're learning history in school, it focuses so much on the dates and the wars and things like that. And it's like those are important. But when we get older, we realize, and this has been the case with me, where I love history now, but I realize the difference between learning history now and learning it back then is I don't care about a specific year necessarily that this war took place. What I care about is the cultural context. I care about the daily lives of people at that time, and I care about how these things affected or were affected by the grand scope of what was going on at that time. That is fascinating to me. If I'm reading something where they're talking about the difference between 1733 and 1734, I don't necessarily care about
Fucked
that, but
up.
I
Who
care about
cares?
I care about the decades and the half centuries and things like that and how they affected the people that lived there. It's about the people, not the dates. And I can't get enough of learning about the cultural aspect of that and the broader scope of it. And I don't know, I feel like that's something that we're realizing now when we're adults and we're not forced to memorize things blindly, that we can appreciate what we actually care to learn, what is important to us more so. And I feel like having that bigger, that broader understanding, I feel like that seems to be the case even now as we're living in history. Like when we're looking back, like 50 years from now, we're not going to be looking at this thing happened in 2021 versus 2022. The exception being COVID. Everybody's going to know 2020 for COVID. That's going to be one of those years
Uh,
just like 1929 where everybody knows what happened in 1929. But but other than that, I mean, we're going to remember all these historical things that are happening, and we're going to remember them happening around this general time period. But more importantly, we're going to remember how it affected the lives. We should be learning about how it affected the lives of the people here and how it contributed to what happened in the upcoming decades. So that's something too that you really get a chance to learn those and put them into context. You get time to contextualize things.
mhm.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, I love that. Um, and I love
Beautiful.
that for you.
Thank you. I love that for you too.
We're learning things.
I know. Wow. Look at what we've done for ourselves here.
Hmm.
We put ourselves in a position where we have extra time and space to learn.
Yes, and learn both things about the world and things about ourselves.
How long do you think it's taken you to get in this kind of space?
Lord, I don't know. The realizing the cultural history appreciation was very recent, probably in the past few weeks, and I'm 29. So, I feel like a lot of this is very new, and learning about what matters is relatively new. I don't know, I guess. So we're going on almost 30 years of still figuring things out and still figuring out what's important. Um, what about you? How long is it taking you?
I don't know. I don't think I was able to have space for it until I started being serious about recovery.
Mm,
Because I'm like got rid of all of these things that were not helpful to me, and I had room for new things. And then curiosity about reading. You know what? My friend Allie said something to me once. She became a runner. And I
hmm
was like, holy shit, bitch, you're like a fucking runner now? She's like, yeah, I just like, I'm identifying. She just like said the way that she identifies as a runner, I run, so I'm a runner. So simple. And I was like,
hmm
oh yeah, I can just identify as anything. So I'm like, I'm a reader. So I'm just trying it with I'm a reader. And then
hmm
I started attracting people who would talk to me about books. And like, I think it was my cousin Pam who was like, oh yeah, I'll have like several books at a time. And you confirm that too. Like, yeah, you can read more than one book at a time. And I was like, what? I just didn't know. And that was only a few years ago. So
Yeah,
I'm 42. So a long ass time. A long ass fucking time.
it's
Yeah.
true. There's a lot. The identity aspect alone is huge. And to your same point, I only started identifying recently, maybe in the past couple years, but especially in the past few months, but identifying as a reader as well, even though it's very obvious to me now when I look back at my past, even going back to a kid, when my favorite place was the library. And I just didn't make that connection, like, oh, I'm a reader. Like, no, never made that
This is
connection.
crazy to me hearing this.
I
I met
know.
you as a reader. You're
Yes.
like,
I know, but that we met in what, 2022? That's probably, which was only 3 years ago, by the way.
whoa.
That's I know. That's when around that time when it clicked for me, when I was like, oh
Oh,
yeah. And it's only become more true since then. Like
yeah.
I'm ever since allowing myself that identity, especially in the past year or so, I'm like, man, books are my happy place. Like I am allowed to identify as a reader because I didn't like there were kids in high school that never let it lapse that that was their identity, and they were always reading novels in school and
Oh my
everything.
God, novel after novel, just
Yeah, and it's
quickly. I was
like,
like, fuck, I'm not in this game.
no, I wasn't either. Of course, now I'm in a different space where I am reading more. But like back then I had like very specific, like this is mine. And I didn't read it at school. I didn't allow other people to see that side of me because I thought it was my own private space, which is fine and valid. But because of the public nature of other people, I didn't feel like I belonged in that community because it looked different for me. And now that I have accepted the fact that I'm a reader, I'm also more comfortable with sharing the fact that I'm a reader. And now I don't care. I will whip my book out anywhere. And people, even in my work team, know, oh, yeah, that's Scarlett. She's reading again. She just does that. Oh, she's just stretching out on the nearest flat surface on her stomach and reading because that's what she does. And they like understand that and they don't judge for it or think about it. And it's like, I have allowed myself in that space because I recently allowed myself to identify with that thing.
Beautiful.
And it's just, yeah, you're right. It's beautiful. But now that I think of it, it really has been a very recent development that I only allowed myself to have recently.
Now
And
you're
there's
whipping
also
your dick out all over everyone.
everyone, everywhere. Like it's true. And also to a degree, books are not only my comfort zone, but sometimes my confidence.
Yeah,
Like, so it really is like whipping my dick out because
it
it's like, you
really
know what?
is. When
I
you
don't
said I'm just
care.
whipping my book out, I'm like, oh, this is your full ego.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
now that I have a Kindle too, that my friend gave me. It's like my life has changed. I don't have to lug around 40 books in case I need to change like what I'm
This is
reading.
important to mention too. Your environment and tools changed, and
Hmm.
it made things more accessible to you.
Yes, I have three different ways to read and I alternate constantly. I've got audiobooks for when I am stressed out and need to do things around the house, but my mind keeps wandering to things that are not productive. I can listen to an audiobook and it can transport me to a place where before I realize it, I've done 2 loads of laundry, I've done a load of dishes, and I've cleaned everything, and it didn't feel like I was doing work because I'm just sucked up into this world. And then afterwards, when I'm appreciating the work I'm done, I'm also thinking about how that story affected me. And like, there's people that will turn their brain off and do audiobooks and do other things, and it will just go in one ear and out the other, and they won't remember anything. But for me, it's different, it's intimate, and I can't explain it, but it's like I'm doing something that normally would stress me out and make my back hurt more. And it's like instead of focusing on that pain and focusing on how much I don't want to do something, I'm focusing on this thing and how it affects me in a more positive way. And then I'm not thinking about how much I'm hurting afterwards. I'm thinking about, man, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe like this effect that it had on her. And actually, when I was listening to that, it also reminded me of this, that, and the other, which is something that I've been experiencing too. When I'm reading fiction, I'm not just reading fiction. I'm I'm finding myself with good fiction. I'm making these connections that, and I've already shared it with you,
Mhm.
like, like I am getting so much more out of it because I'm allowing myself the space to do that, and I'm allowing myself to just intake it and make those connections and not just like this happened, that happened, that happened. It's like, wow, this is just like this, that, and the other. Or, man, I feel so connected to her. Or this makes me feel empowered.
The examples.
Mm-hmm.
We really need examples to like and I'll say a trauma brain, but like lots of different kinds of brains really need a box to put things in order to make sense of it, or else it's just scrambled. The,
Yes.
the show, what's it called? Good. I
Good
can't remember what it's
place?
called. No, Mae Martin and somebody else. Good
Oh,
something. Anyway, they used to say, I feel like a bunch of Tupperware in a cupboard, but like all the lids and the Tupperwares don't have matches.
yes.
And so like when we have a scenario or like watch a show and there's a scene that like represents a way that we felt,
Mm-hmm.
we can be like, oh, one, we're validated, we're not alone. And not only are we
Yes.
not alone, but like m many people see and relate to this, read it and relate to it. So it opens up to be like, okay, I'm not crazy, I'm not weird for having this, and I'm not alone. And then it also gives us a story, a template to write our own story about it. Like
Yes.
if whatever the thing is, like, okay, well, this is what it was for her. What was my version? My version was this, and it gave me these feelings that were very similar. And
Mm-hmm.
that is also the unpack process.
Yes. And one of my favorite things to do is it doesn't work as much with some of the Book Sprout books because there's so few reviews because they're little baby indie authors. But when I do read a book that other people have read, I love going in after I finish it and seeing what other people thought of it too, because sometimes I disagree, but other times I will either feel validated because they caught on to the same things I did, or I will see it in a different light that I haven't even considered, and then I
Right.
appreciate it more. Or it'll unlock something in my brain. I love deep dive reviews, like a 5 hour review on a 12-hour book or whatever. I
Yeah,
love
that's
that
what I loved
because
about Savvy.
yes, exactly. And they'll pick out details that I'm like, oh, yeah, I did feel this way when I read that. And then I start thinking more about how that affected me. And I had maybe forgotten about it because I was focused on all the other things. And it's just like, I love that aspect of discussing the literature afterwards. That's why I can't believe I'm not in a book club, but I also know that I have to read on my own time. And sometimes I read super fast, sometimes I read super slow. And that's part of it. But like, I love the concept of discussing it and hearing other perspectives of it and just letting it just wrap around you in this blanket of like, wow, I have these feelings, and here's a different way to experience those feelings. And I want to lock this away. I want to remember this. I want to tap back into this later. Sometimes I'll highlight stuff in my Kindle that I may or may not go back to later just to see those. And even if I don't, it's still there. Like the words may not be there, but the impact of it are there.
Hmm.
And it's so gratifying. And those are things that I would not experience as much if I had not let myself identify in that community. Because that's a huge thing is this whole bookish community of people that also are passionate about leaning into these things and discussing them and nerding out over them in a way that some other people might just be like, I just read for the vibes, which is valid. But I identify so much with the people that like pick these things apart and not always for the negative. And granted, the downside of that is sometimes when you pick things apart, it leaves you appreciating it less than someone who just reads for the vibes and they don't catch all these things. But it also makes it so much more gratifying when you get good fiction. And it's like, give me that delicious, the just all the warmth and all of the thought-provoking aspects of it. And I just I love it so much, and I am so glad that I let myself be a part of this community, even though I didn't identify as it before, because I feel like I'm so enriched by it now. And it's like all I want to do is either listen or read a book or read on the Kindle. And it's like I'm just so much happier um, getting in that world and making those connections. And it's just great.
It's incredible. I also was thinking about, and then we should probably get started. I was thinking about,
Yes.
um, I was thinking about how, because my energy switched about books. Well, like also meeting Laura, Laura and Julia, her sister, are there's like at least 1,000 books in this apartment. And like when I met Laura, she started bringing books back to my house every single day, and I was like, I just cannot believe how surrounded in books I am.
Hmm.
It just is. And then she actually asked me recently, and she's like, "Did you ever go to the library as a kid?" And it unlocked a thing. I was like, because at first I default to like, no, didn't do anything as a kid because I was busy surviving. But I was like, I did. We lived in a town, the town I went to like kindergarten and first grade, where I'm like from. Um, yeah, we used to go to the library all the time, and there's always things going on there. I would go with my like town friends and cousins and shit.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was incredible. And then, everything changed when we left there. And that's when like it was really a long, long time.
Right.
Obviously, until a few years ago when I was ready to reconnect with reading and with books.
Right. And it's so true where you have that period of time where everything else just distracts you from what's really important. And also remembering that past also is very heartwarming because I had a similar experience where I forgot my connection with the library because I didn't have a connection with the library since childhood. When my mother used to read to other kids after school for a period of time when she could, and we had this bike that had this little car seat on the back that apparently I hated, and I vaguely remember hating it because it was scary. But we would ride the bike to the library, and I would go straight to the children's section. But my favorite thing was those little cassettes that come with the book. because my mother was working like three different jobs. And
Mhm.
so I didn't see her as much. So this time was important to me because I did get to spend time with her, but also we'd come home with The Little Red Hen, which is my one of my favorite children's books. And it's about this little red hen who works really hard and nobody wants to help her. So then when she makes her bread that no one helped her make, she's like, no, you can't have any because you didn't want to help me, so it's mine. I'm gonna give it to my chicks. It's just gonna be ours because you didn't want to help me do it. And it's really petty, but also it's talking about like working hard and appreciating the benefits of your reward. But I loved listening to the cassette and reading along while my mother was working, and that little like connection with books where it literally was my comfort when I was lonely. That whole thing I completely blocked out until recently. And it's just, I don't know, it's just crazy the impact that we have when we realize those things and
Yeah,
add ourselves to the community.
it's
But
incredible.
yeah, so
Here we
I guess
are.
we should get started. We usually take about like it's becoming a thing where we take about 30 to 40 minutes to just
Book talk.
book talk, not to be confused with book talk, which I'm
Great.
not actually part of. That is a
Me
community I'm
either.
happily not a part of.
I started
Apparently they've got
watching.
drama, apparently. So I'm
Well, the
happy.
talks have drama. I just
Yeah.
before watching the Mormon reality, the Mormon wives thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot about mom talk. So when I thought about book talk, I was like, ooh, I'm not gonna be a talk person, but I
Do
do
not.
love the idea of something sounding like a talk person. I'm
In
editing
my
the intros
opinion,
right now so that we can include that we talk about books for 30 to 40 minutes when we first start and then we get into it.
true, true. I feel like BookTube is much, much superior to Book Talk because you actually have time to discuss things and you're not just fighting to be as, um, quickly relevant as possible. But that's just
Yeah.
my own personal thing. And also Savvy is on BookTube. So,
Uh,
but
uh,
anyway, oh, my battery is low. So at one point the mic might get worse, but we'll see.
okay.
Okay, so this is our ADHD planning meeting. It's really just neurodivergent friendly planning, as is evidenced by the fact that we take a significant amount of time just going off because we have to make that space in our brains, which is also why we also do a brain dump for that same reason. So I just realized that my document minimized. So give me a second to open that again. And again, big in this one. Oh,
I'm changing our little description thing so that it knows that we're going to talk about books. You'll see. You'll see.
let's see. Okay. So we already did our not so quick intros, pretty much. But I'm Scarlett. I live in the Midwest, and I identify as pan-romantic and in the ace spectrum. And we already talked about the general things. Michelle, would you like to go next?
Um, I no,
Nope.
don't.
Okay, that's Michelle. So that's it today,
On
which is
board.
fine.
I
Yeah.
don't really have anything to share about myself other than I'm happy to be here. Thank you for
Yes.
having me. That's it.
You're
That's all I have for
welcome,
you today.
as if I'm the host. Okay. So, what we do here, we're ADHD friendly planning meeting. We focus on structure, accountability, and flow. We focus on showing up for yourself, which means practicing time management, avoiding burnout, making realistic plans, becoming an on-time person, which we are learning doesn't always mean being exactly on time. Sometimes it means being there. And then we want to delegate when needed and build in joy. And we want to make space for ourselves as well. I don't have this on the bullet list, but we're doing that more where we make space for ourselves. So we want to have tips for a successful planning meeting. We want to honor the moment and set the tone. So it's more than just a planning session. We want to do a ritual for clarity, alignment, and taking care of our future selves. So we want to be present, curious, grounded, and inspired. We want to curate the space, so setting the vibe, whether that's with fidget things, creature comforts, what have you. We want to handle our basics like snacks, stretching, water, and bathroom breaks and whatnot. We want to grab our tools, whether that's physical things like pens and notebooks or a laptop and calendar, things that help us focus. And we want to use our resources. So that can be digital resources like our Daily Dandy and Brain Dump guides, which Michelle will pop in the chat if she hasn't already. And then
Hmm.
we also have our Notion template. If you would like to copy or duplicate that to your Notion account, you can fill that out. Um, and these tools kind of help us clear the lingering responsibilities so our thoughts can flow freely and with ease. So we've already done our 10 to 15 minutes of before we begin. We'll need to update that too. But what we do is we take about an hour for things. We do a 20-minute brain dump. And that focuses more on the current to clear space in our brain. Then we do focusing on the past. We do reflective questions and that thinks about our last week. And then we pivot to future with our top 20 things that we want to focus on for the week. And then we plug everything into our calendar and look at things like that to make sure that we have realistic goals and are keeping ourselves accountable for those things as well. So we will start. Let me share my screen. Mm, And let's see. There we go. So we will start with our brain dump and hopefully it is sharing now. There we go. Looks like it is. And so this is our brain dump. We'll take 20 minutes for this. And basically, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Just take everything that's in your brain and spit it out onto a paper or onto the Notion template. And the purpose of it is to we want to reduce stress, bring focus and clarity, declutter everything. And it can look like a paragraph, it can look like a list, it can look like both. So we'll take 20 minutes for that, and then we will shift and think about the last week.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Oh, by moving stuff around, is it affecting your shared screen thing?
I'm wondering if it is. It just kind of like crashed.
Oh, that's probably why. Well, I don't know if it's why or not, but I was just doing some formatting in the Sunday service thing because I'm stalling
Oh,
my
that
brain.
might be
But
that's what it was. I assumed that like I just was doing too many things on my side and it was like bleh, too
that's
much.
too much. No, I was just
But
tightening things up,
that's
but I'm done
probably
now. So,
exactly it.
okay, I'm officially done.
We were right around um this is probably fine, right? 10 minutes? Last I looked at it was 13.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
that sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, that is our time.
Okay. Well, I spent so much time formatting that I pretty much just talked about what my I have a space solution
Oh.
situation. So I need like a new piece of furniture and it has to solve a bunch of these problems and the space that it needs to solve it in is very, very small. So I
Hmm.
basically was just doing what my ideal thing would be.
Right.
And that's fine because I know what else I'm working on. Um,
And that thing was taking up space in your brain, so it counts.
yeah, yes, I've been spending so much time thinking about this. I spent like 2 hours yesterday researching on the internet, and now I just like have an idea of what could be possible. But even then, I'm not trying to think about what's possible. I'm just trying to be like, what would be ideal?
Right.
What do I need it for? What do I need it to hold? What is it going to provide from whatever?
Right, which is exactly what you always have me do.
Yeah, right. That's the positive vision of the future.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, I mapped out some things that were taking up space in my brain as well for the book reviews that I've got coming up. So I mapped
Mhm.
out timelines for when to do those, and I also listed out some things that I want to include in my next review for the story I just finished. So we both did a little bit of slightly different brain dumping, but it still counts because they were taking up space in our mind. So
Yeah.
that is our brain dump. And now that we've taken care of the current space in our brain, we're going to move to reflective questions, which is where we want to think about our past week and ask ourselves, how was the week? How did I perform in my various roles as an adult? Did I achieve the goals I set for myself? We want to think about our victories and almost, and we want to be kind to ourselves with those so that we can focus on the memory exercise of it and the planning and not shame ourselves for anything we didn't get around to. We
Mhm.
want to ask ourselves, what could I have done differently? And is there anything that I need to follow up on? So we'll take 10 minutes for that, and then we'll come back and start pulling things out for our top 20.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. All right. That is our time.
Okay,
Our time.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Feeling pretty good, yeah.
Nice. All right. So now that we've reflected, we are going to move on to our top 20, which is where we pull out roughly 20 things from our brain dump and reflective questions that we want to focus on this week. Does not have to be exactly 20 things, but we want to limit it to that so that we don't overwhelm ourselves. The purpose of this is to add structure to our thoughts now that we've let them all flow freely. We want to pull out the most important things and set realistic expectations, what we can accomplish in one week. And we also want to prioritize where we invest our time and energy. So you might use categories and you might label them by urgency. We'll take 15 minutes for that, and then we'll circle back to add things to our calendar.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
You doing good?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Awesome.
I started doing calendar and checking the weather and stuff because I'm a little ahead.
Nice.
Look at these. Don't you
Oh,
love this?
I
There
love
they are.
those.
They're the little
Yes.
Laura's using them for her Bible.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I love those. Those are perfect.
that
Also,
was
I
a
just
good one.
noticed that her cross matches the lamp that you have there.
What matches the lamp?
Your the cross on the wall.
Oh yeah, that's
You
true.
both have the same kind of navy going on.
Yeah.
Perfect. So our next section is, there it is, our calendar, weather, and domestics. So we want to take the things from our top 20 and we want to plug them into our calendar so that we can hold ourselves accountable for them. We also want to consider things like time blocks for non-committals, creative time, emails, whatnot, and we want to consider things like weather, chores, meal prep, and we also want to think about things for our health, like nature time, stretching, entertainment, stuff that we don't always remember to put in our calendar. So we will take 10 minutes for that. And if you finish early, you can take a few breaths and recenter yourself before you wrap up for the day.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay. So that is the time. How are we feeling?
Pretty good. I'm just doing the description now. I don't know what link to put in. The Target link?
Yeah, I would,
Okay.
because that will give you a description of it and also you can buy it if you want.
That's where I got it. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Well, I'm pretty good. How about you?
Feeling pretty good.
What's your
I've
week
got,
look like?
yeah, I've got a decent list going, but not too much. So we'll see how this week goes.
Well, do you know if we're meeting on Tuesday?
I don't know if we should because I still don't have a tincture, so I haven't
Okay.
had a chance to try it out.
I'll just push it off another week and we'll do that until we can get you something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, if anyone's watching this later, I hope that you guys have a good week too, and we will meet back on